I heard it before I saw it. A voice, too close, too commanding. I dropped my wrench on the garage floor and froze. My son's voice followed, shaking but sharp. I walked into the house, slow, controlled. 3 shadows occupied my living room, 2 MPs. My old commanding officer in the center, wearing that same sneer he used in the field. My boy stood cornered, fists clenched. "Where are his maps?" the officer barked. His tone wasn't a question, it was a threat. My son didn't back down. He spat at the man's boots. "He's braver than you'll ever be." I stepped into the kitchen light, calm, silent. The MPs were already on the ground. The old man turned, his eyes widening, his mouth twitching. He reached instinctively for a gun that wasn't there. His hand trembled mid-air, empty. I didn't need to speak. The silence was enough. They called me deserter, coward, traitor, words they stitched to my name the moment I chose blood over uniform. I didn't leave the service because I was broken. I left because they would have broken him, my son. But men like my former CO don't forgive decisions like that. He'd rather see me buried than free. And now he stood in my living room, using my son as leverage. Infidelity and betrayal aren't always about lovers. Sometimes it's about trust, the kind you bleed for, the kind you think is unshakable. That man had been my commander, my supposed brother-in-arms. I trusted him with my life in places where the earth itself felt cursed. He used that trust to label me, to twist my son's image of me, to dig into the wombs he helped carve. What he didn't realize was that betrayal cuts both ways. I said nothing that night. I let him walk, trembling, humiliated, dragging his unconscious men out the door like carcasses. But inside me, something began to turn. I started listening, watching. His name surfaced again and again. A court-martial file that had disappeared. A deployment report altered. A widow who'd stopped receiving benefits. Every breadcrumb reeked of him. At night, when my boy slept, I spread the papers across the kitchen table. I worked the same way I used to plan raids. Silent, systematic. Except now, the battlefield was my past. He thought he had painted me a coward. He didn't expect me to paint him a liar. Every night, the storm inside me grew quieter, sharper. Rage isn't fire. Rage is ice. It came in a single envelope, anonymously slipped into my mailbox. DNA results, testimony copies, a financial trail that snaked through shell accounts into his pocket. Proof. I read it twice, then once more, not to understand it, but to steady myself. When I finally walked into his office, he looked smaller than I remembered. He tried to speak. I cut him off with the papers, sliding them across the desk. "Do you recognize these?" My voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. He reached for them with trembling fingers. His eyes darted left, right. His throat clicked dry. He knew what I knew. And worse, he knew that I wasn't going to explode. I wasn't going to shout. I was going to leave him with silence. That's the cruelty he never trained me to withstand. I leaned forward, close enough for him to see that my eyes weren't angry anymore. They were clear. "You called me deserter," I whispered, "but the only thing you deserted was your honor." He flinched. His lips quivered. I stood, calm, measured, and left the file on his desk. A bomb with no timer, no fuse. Just truth, stripped bare, waiting for the right hands to open it. The MPs wouldn't protect him now. His own men would chew him alive when the truth surfaced. I didn't need to ruin him. He'd do it himself. That night, I sat at my son's bedside. He stirred in his sleep, murmuring my name like a shield. I realized something then. Betrayal doesn't need revenge to be answered. It only needs truth. And truth, once unleashed, is merciless. I walked outside, lit a cigarette I didn't finish. The night was quiet, heavy. He had tried to bury me under shame. But shame only kills men who doubt themselves. I didn't doubt anymore. I was no deserter. I was the last ghost he'd ever see standing. And when ghosts rise, they never leave.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. Subscribe now to Cheating Stories Insight World for more amazing stories.